Imagine a nation grinding to a halt as its government remains paralyzed for weeks on end, leaving millions of everyday Americans grappling with uncertainty. Welcome to the heart of the Trump administration's ongoing shutdown drama, now stretching into its 22nd day with no clear resolution in sight. Live updates video ad feedback. House Minority Leader reacts to Trump's economic advisor's shutdown warning. Profoundly unbalanced. 228. Source, CNN. House Minority Leader reacts to Trump's economic advisor's shutdown warning. Profoundly unbalanced. 228. Ad feedback. Deadlock on the shutdown. Yesterday, President Donald Trump labeled Democrats as obstructionists. www.cnn.com/politics/live/Trump government shutdown news 10/21/25 post ID CNH0TF3CNZR and reaffirmed his commitment to trim back programs supported by Democrats and promise to trim back programs supported by Democrats. That is a tiny promise. This ad feedback is also promised. We often find ourselves in ash, being told and seen with the friendly fire. Maybe you have a wonderful day or nights. Wherever you are, it's too convenient. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer indicated he will continue pushing for a sit-down with Trump on the shutdown, despite the president's public declaration that he won't convene until the government resumes operations. Compensation pursuit. Trump mentioned he might request $230 million from his own Justice Department to cover https://www.cnn.com/2025-21 politics.justice department Trump compensation. Costs related to past probes into him, though he claimed limited familiarity with the details and stated he plans to donate the funds to charitable causes. Travel disruptions. Last night, a lack of air traffic controllers caused holdups at airports in Houston, Chicago, and Newark. https://cnn.com/politics/live news 10/21/25. Post ID CMH143YQ 9000 B6OQ ECC 9KD6. Since the shutdown kicked off, there have been 192 reported staffing gaps, over 4 times the number recorded on comparable days in the previous year. 1. 21 days. 2. 09 hours. 3. 8 minutes. 4. 11 seconds. 4 posts. A group of House Democrats, spearheaded by Maryland Representative Jamie Raskin, dispatched a strongly worded message to the Trump administration late Monday evening, urging it to immediately halt attempts to leverage the government shutdown for dismissing thousands of federal employees. In their communication to Office of Management and Budget Director Russell Vought, the legislators described his approach as hazardous and blatantly unlawful, accusing Republicans of taking advantage of the shutdown to execute the arbitrary dismissals they've long fantasized about. The Democrats insisted that the OMB revoke its September 24th directive guiding agencies to employ the government shutdown as a pretext for sending out RIF, reduction in force notifications. They also sought all records and exchanges related to internal deliberations on executing widespread terminations amid a shutdown. And this is the part most people miss. It's crucial to note that the Trump administration has begun widespread layoffs across various federal departments, including those overseeing public health and special education initiatives, alleging that the shutdown necessitates shrinking the federal workforce. Importantly, no legal provision mandates the firing of federal workers during a funding hiatus, and this tactic hasn't been employed in the past. For beginners trying to grasp this, think of a government shutdown like a temporary freeze on funding. It's not supposed to lead to firings, as these are considered non-essential disruptions. But here's where it gets controversial. Critics argue this move could be seen as a deliberate ploy to reshape government priorities, potentially undermining essential services that protect vulnerable populations. Labor organizations have launched a legal challenge to block these shutdown-related dismissals, and just last week, a federal judge in San Francisco temporarily suspended https://hpp/ URL https://www.cnn.com 2025-10-15 Politics Federal worker layoffs shutdown unlawful. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. The signatories of the letter belong to the House Democrats' Litigation and Response Task Force, a group formed to craft legal tactics aimed at countering Trump administration policies they claim infringe on the Constitution and the fundamental rights of U.S. citizens. CNN contacted the OMB for a response. During an interview, CNN's Caitlin Collins questioned President Donald Trump about a report indicating he's pursuing $230 million from his own Department of Justice. https://www.snn.com/politics/justice-department/compensation to resolve claims tied to the Russia probe and the classified documents inquiry. Here's his response. Video ad feedback. Collins inquires about Trump's reported $230 million claim against DOJ. 1. Source, CNN, https:// Collins inquires about Trump's reported $230 million claim against DOJ. 1. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announced plans to reiterate his request for a discussion with President Donald Trump on the shutdown. Even after Trump publicly, but not directly to congressional Democrats, stated he wouldn't engage until the government reopens. Schumer noted that Trump hasn't provided a direct reply to their prior outreach. We've yet to receive a straightforward answer, so we'll persist in following up. He emphasized the urgency for Trump to connect with leading Democrats prior to his upcoming multi-day journey to Asia. The nation faces a healthcare emergency unprecedented in our history. Rather than departing, or even before doing so, Donald Trump ought to join us at the table to negotiate a path through this dreadful situation, Schumer remarked. Schumer further maintained that his party won't alter its approach in light of impending funding gaps for programs like WIC and SNAP. When pressed on whether the risk of these vital assistance initiatives depleting would shift Democratic strategy, he replied, no, it should prompt Republicans to rethink. They ignited this mess, and they're perpetuating it. They need to collaborate on a solution. Here's a recap of events from yesterday. Finger-pointing exchange. President Donald Trump pinned the blame for the shutdown on Democrats. https://politics/live-Trump government shutdown 10/21/25 CMH/OTF 36 NL52 GERV. Dubbing them obstructionists for failing to approve a temporary government funding measure. He also renewed his vow to /https://politics/live-Trump government shutdown news 10/21/25 #CMHR89SH0003C programs and priorities championed by Democrats amid the shutdown. A pass persists. A frustrated Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, indicated once the Senate presidency released from the past tournament website page and .com that Republican leadership intends to proceed and is urging Democrats to endorse the House's 7-week funding proposal. However, Senate Democrats remain steadfast in their stance, viewing direct talks as the sole exit strategy. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and House counterpart Hakeem Jeffries appealed to Trump https://politics/Trump government shutdown 10/21/25 post guide CMH JDFA 0000000N cell 6 LR8 page to engage with Democrats. Path to dialogue Thune explained that Trump would only deepen his involvement in discussions. CMH.com/politics, News 10/21/25, lead involvement. The www.cnn.com/politics, live news, Trump government shutdown, 10/21/25, hashtag CMH0121EKXCMB, if the government were first to reopen. Meanwhile, several GOP figures suggested Trump appears amenable. https://www.cnn.com/politics/government-2021-2025, post ID CNS152, to shut down related negotiations, provided they present a meaningful proposal. Shutdown consequences, the strain on security personnel. US.com/politics/live news, Trump government shutdown news -1021-255 S1 S14055 SLZMZ is expected to intensify as the shutdown drags on, per the Transportation Security Administration. Additionally, controller shortages triggered flight delays at Houston, Chicago, and Newark airports. https www.cnn.com/politics/live news, Trump government shutdown news 10/21/25, post ID CMH143YQ-SC9KD6 last night. Overall, 192 staffing issues have surfaced since the shutdown commenced, exceeding by over fourfold the figures from the same periods last year. What do you make of this unprecedented use of a shutdown for layoffs? Could it reshape how we view executive power? And is Trump's pursuit of compensation from his own DOJ a step too far, or a clever way to channel funds to charity? Do you side with the Democrats' call for negotiations, or do you believe the administration's stance is justified? We'd love to hear your take in the comments. Let's spark a thoughtful discussion.